So I remember telling my mom, obviously, right after we found out, and I think she was obviously devastated, but she was more so devastated for me. So I think she tried to be strong and remind me that, that whatever it is that we had to go through, she was going to be there. We talked to his parents a few days after, and let them know kind of like what was going on. I remember his dad came over and gave us a blessing of strength. And we didn't really talk to anyone else besides, my dad as well. We talked to my dad and kind of told him what was going on. It wasn't until we got the confirmed diagnosis that we went ahead and told all of our family. And they were all very supportive and offered prayers, and friends offered meals, and we just had an outpour of love. I think for a lot of my family, it was difficult because no one expected it. It was one of these times where they wanted to offer hope, right? And so they just offered hope and love and prayers. And so it was kind of hard because when you have a confirmed diagnosis, all your hope is gone. And so I remember sometimes feeling angry because I didn't want hope if it was already determined to be. But looking back now, I'm just so grateful for that hope that they always offered, because this journey was a miracle for me. And so that was just our experience with sharing with our families, or with my family at least.
And I think, like Ezekiel said, obviously sharing with our families wasn't easy, and just having to give them this information that we don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to meet their, nephew, if my parents are going to meet their next grandkid. But I think just having my father there's support was big for me. And then having my mom ask how she could help, obviously navigating this as a grandparent and never going through this on her own. She was very open on, asking us, like, what could we do to help? Obviously, we were trying to figure out how to allow other people to help, but I think at the same time it was really difficult just due to the fact that people wanted to give us hope and say, hey, we're going to be praying for you, it's going to be okay, but they hadn't gone to the last 2 MFM, appointments. They hadn't sat through a amniocentesis. They hadn't, been with the OBGYN, which I think was really hard in that sense, that they didn't understand how much went into us sharing this information to them, when they just thought it's going to be okay. It was just one appointment. Let's see how it progresses. But it had already been, 2, 3, 4 appointments in a month and a half time that we already knew that potentially we might not be, meeting our new baby, but we're very glad that we were able to and had that support. I feel like the biggest things that helped as far as me personally was just always checking in, saying, hey, is there anything that we can ever do for you guys? Can we bring meals over? And I think at this time, Ezekiel might have been working or not working yet, but the fact that my dad reached out to Ezekiel just randomly one day and was able to come take Jade. And I don't know if that gave Ezekiel time to just be on her own, just to reflect on life or what it was for her, but the fact that my dad took time out of his schedule to come pick up his granddaughter and give Ezekiel a break from being a mom while she's trying to be a mom to an unborn baby, I think that was very meaningful to me.
Yeah, I think we got support in so many ways. I remember I was working as the president of the Young Women's for our church, and so obviously at this time I kind of asked to kind of take a step back because it was just a lot going on. And I had the young women heart attack my door on random days and drop off gifts. And again, meals. We had lots of meals, DoorDash gift cards, crumble cookies sent to our door, flowers. There was so much that friends and family did. And I just want to emphasize that, you don't have to be sitting there with them in the same state, in the same neighborhood even. I'm like, as long as you're just sending a quick text or anything that says I'm thinking about you, that made all the difference for us. I think it was such a special time. Even though it was so hard, it was so special to feel so loved. I don't think we had ever realized how grateful we were with the amount of people that reached out. So for me, it was just the simple acts of kindness that people brought to our day made us remember that we had great people in our lives. So the support groups that I joined were basically the Facebook ones, which I kind of already mentioned a little bit. So I heard about them through moms in the trisomy community. The best thing that I think I did was hashtag trisomy13. If you hashtag that, you find so many moms who share their journeys. And so I went through that hashtag, I remember late at night, so many nights, and I would just follow moms, reach out to them. So many moms are just sharing their stories and their experiences and their journeys, and you can find people who are right around the same time as you as far as pregnancy, and that really, really helps you feel connected. And so through them, I found, more Facebook pages, I found Instagram pages, I found nonprofit organizations built from moms who have lost their kids, nonprofit organizations from, people who have a child with trisomy that's living and share how they've dealt with the medical interventions and all of these things. So it was just really networking. And from then on, I think a lot of things just came up and lots of Facebook support groups, like I said. But for me, the biggest one was Instagram, hashtagging trisomy13.
And so obviously, like Ezekiel mentioned, with support groups, we can go ahead and link them down in the description below, just because a lot of these groups, Ezekiel would, review them throughout the day and then come home and talk to me about them at night when I got off work. So we will attach the Facebook groups, different families, couples that we followed or Ezekiel followed on Instagram, and then just kind of their stories and some of these nonprofit organizations, so you guys have these resources as well as you navigate your own experience.
I think one thing that can be really overwhelming about support groups online is that you fall into this, like I mentioned, comfort care or medical intervention category, and sometimes I think we feel lots of pressure to do one thing or another because we see so many things on these support groups. So I think overall something I've learned is that regardless of support groups, use them to fill yourself with knowledge, but just know that ultimately you are the parent and you are the one that will decide what's best for your baby. And so for me, that was a game changer, because I remember sometimes feeling like I had to take a full-on medical intervention route or else I didn't love my baby enough, which is not true. And either way, I think it's such a hard diagnosis to deal with, and comes with so many decisions that overall these support groups just need to focus on you as a parent providing the best care that you know how for your baby. So just be aware that regardless of how many support groups you join, you still are the best advocate for your baby. I think the moment where I decided that it was my decision for my baby was when we got closer to like the higher risk weeks, which were 32, 34 weeks. That's when you're really thinking about your birth plan. And so for me, I thought, well, it's a lot about me too, right? Like I'm going through this as well. Like I have to give birth to a baby. I have to do so much. And I remember thinking, is the fact that I don't want a C-section selfish, And I remember my mom saying clearly to me, like, it is not selfish. Like you are his mom, and God gave you, this trial or this experience for you. And I remember her saying, like, what's best for your baby, and it's not selfish of you to not want this route, because you want to have more babies and you want to, like, I just think she just kind of made me feel validated in my choice, because I was feeling like it might being selfish, but really, like, I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want. And so that was the first moment where I was like, okay, well, what I want matters. And I know that this is going to work out in the best way possible, because I'm choosing what's right for me, my body, my baby, regardless of what anyone else says or thinks or does with, their experience, because everyone chooses differently, and that's okay. And so that was the moment where it clicked for me. It was like, well, this all matters for me too. I'm going to be dealing with this, so I should have a say in this as well.